people who are having the most like progressive, open, interesting conversations about the ethics of AI are people who work in AI. They're very aware of like the perils because they're right up close to them. I think the rest of us need to have those conversations too.
What are you?
I'm M3GAN.
So I would start by asking kind of about the evolution of M3GAN's look. When you were just figuring out what the concept would look like and just coming up with different designs, what kind of was the variation in that, and how did you ultimately choose the one that we see in the film?
I was always excited by the idea of her being as real as possible, seeing how much we could push that. And when we teamed up with Brough, who helped sort of manufacture her, they specialize in human, like prosthetic doubles, like life prosthetic doubles. So it just felt like this is a really awesome opportunity to do something that, like, go further into the uncanny valley than we ever have before. So that was always really exciting, and just wanted her to have like class. Like, we wanted her to be kind of like sassy and classy, and so yeah. So that was the aim, really.
I would say that it was difficult to achieve M3GAN. So that was challenging. However, she is a very uncanny scene partner, especially like when she's actually there. Sometimes because of the camera angles, she was just a piece of tape on something, just if we were too close. But it was easily tense, I think, just because of the nature of it. Yeah. M3GAN, what are you doing?
Couldn't sleep. Occupational hazard.
One of the things that's just striking about this film, and it's something that I kind of love about killer doll movies in general, is that like you don't move away from the funniness. There is humor here, and it's undeniable, and you don't deny it. You don't say, no, this is super serious. And I'm just curious about kind of the post-production process and making sure that you nail that line correctly.
Yeah, it was one of those things where like 80% of the time it was intention, and the other 20% is finding it in the edit. What can you get away with? And there are some things where I thought, it's like, oh no, that's too far, or that didn't work, but people love it. And it's like, oh no, that's really funny. And then I have to just pretend like that was my intention the whole time. But it's just it's a balancing act of figuring out what's funny, getting the tone right, and yeah, just trying to, it's funny because I think the film is a combination of like subtle humor, but also obvious kind of campness at times, and yeah, so.
I think both of us love weird, and I think that's one of the great things about horror is that it celebrates being weird.
Yeah, you want to be a little bit outside of the box,
yeah.
Right? So even if you're making a movie that is in a particular subgenre or a particular style, you always want to try and kind of break the boundary a little bit. And I think, the horror genre really lets you try things. I mean, my God, when we made *Malignant*, that was insane, right? And so, and that's a great thing working with Kayla, is she's so not afraid to push the boundaries. And that's what we love with M3GAN is, we go, okay, we have this movie, but what can we do to sort of branch out and do things a little bit different that people haven't seen before? I think that is important, to do stuff that people haven't seen before.
I mean, ultimately, it's kind of that thing of like, she is who she is. Like, M3GAN really dictates the tone in the movie. You've got this very uncanny, sassy doll front and center the whole time, and so she really anchors the whole thing. Like, everyone else is really around M3GAN's orbit. Sure. So that she's really the biggest dictator of tone for the film.
I have a new primary user now. Me.
And I'm curious, just what was kind of the motivation for PG-13 over R-rated?
Just that it was almost there anyway, really. So that was it. It's like this, with a couple of small trims, that if we don't go too far this way, this could be that. And ultimately, it's one of those things where my kid will get to see it now. So that's nice. He won't have to wait, another 10 years to see it. And I remember saying to the producers in prep, it's like, make a couple of trims and this could be PG-13. Oh, Gerard, come on, like, R rating is a badge of honor, but Universal realized to their credit that, this film could just go out bigger, and I want more people to see it. Like, I want the things that it speaks to. I think for sort of both generations, adults and kids as well. So, sure. Yeah.
I won't let anything harm you.
So getting into the role of Gemma, I'm curious just kind of what the research process was and just what you dug into as far as the field goes, and also just how it change the way
What
that
if I
you
was
looked?
like, I am a roboticist?
I'd be surprised.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
how
you
that
should
goes.
be surprised. I can barely do simple arithmetic. But I did talk to a lot of roboticists and AI experts and engineers and stuff, particularly women in the field as well. Just because I wanted to understand, like, top line, as very basically as like an English major can, what is all of this? What does it entail? What kinds of intelligence do you need? And then also, on a more superficial level, what is it like to be a woman in these work environments? What are the realities of that? From the very most superficial elements of like, what do you wear to work, and how are you coiffed in the workplace, and to the more deep things of like, if you are in a room full of men and you know something and none of them are listening to you, how, on a scale of 1,000 to infinity, how frustrating is that? And so that was fascinating to just learn about the full sort of gamut of all of it, and to appreciate just exactly how brilliant Gemma must have been to develop this doll with her team. One of the things we really wanted to do, and Gerard was great about this, he wanted to talk to experts in the field to make sure that we did enough due diligence so that people felt seen. People who work in this field felt seen by the movie. Of course, we took a little bit of license at times, as you have to, but we just didn't want big eye rolls from people who spend their lives working in this discipline. And I also found in doing this research that the people who are having the most like progressive, open, interesting conversations about the ethics of AI are people who work in AI. They're very aware of like the perils because they're right up close to them. I think the rest of us need to have those conversations too.
They're the ones that I definitely want to be having the conversation, though. Like,
Definitely.
yeah, that's
But
definitely
we do
essential.
too, because we consume it. And what are
Right.
the ethics of
Oh,
consuming it?
absolutely,
You know what I
for
mean?
sure.
Yeah. It's honestly like she's part of the family now.
They could be building emotional connections that are too hard to untangle.
And from what I understand, there were multiple ways that were used to bring M3GAN to life. There's the performer Amy Donald, there's puppetry, VFX. I'm kind of just curious, through all of that and just the evolution of the design, like, was there a certain change in the film, like realizing what you could actually do with M3GAN?
It was always important to remember that she doesn't have to do a lot to be effective. She's quite reptilian. But I would say the physicality of her, when she starts interacting with other characters, getting that physicality right was really challenging. And we had to redo a couple of scenes just to get that right. And we nailed it. We nailed it the second time. But it was really challenging. I mean, it was a lot to take on for me as like my second film. It's like, Jesus Christ. And even myself, I forget when I'm watching it who's doing what, you know? But yeah, they were always, the mini M3GAN, the many people that made M3GAN were always around, always on set, so yeah. But it was one of those funny things, it's like, should we do it this way for this scene or this way? We, honestly, we weren't sure. And we would do it one way and realize, oh, maybe we should have done it the other way. Yeah.
Actually, how many M3GANs were created?
Oh, there was a lot. There was like when you'd have a sitting M3GAN, like there was a M3GAN that didn't do anything. There was a stunt M3GAN. There was one we could throw around and like beat up and stuff like that. So yeah, so there was a few of them.
Where are they all now?
Oh God, I don't know, but I should try. I want to try to get one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like you should have one.
I should
like,
have one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Could you speak to someone on my behalf?
Sure, yeah. I mean, so yeah, just have someone watch this interview and they'll know that your passion for it is out there. And
please.
yeah.
Are you sure?
I'm just curious about the ending and kind of how that evolved and came together.
Well, we always wanted to make sure that we keep the possibility for more M3GANs alive. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, sure.
So it was that really. We always kind of wanted her to live, but there were other iterations of how we did it. But this felt like the just the best way.
Can you give me an example?
Oh no, it was always that way, but it was like. Oh no, there were other ways. Yeah, there were other ways. Like we were thinking about, does she get inside another toy and things like that, and so those scenes were written and storyboarded, and maybe I'll share those at some point. But ultimately, this just felt like the most elegant way. We just had this big climax, and it just felt like okay, this is what the movie needs. Yeah.
Don't worry, Katie. I won't let anything harm you. Ever again.